Hello everyone, welcome to the second episode of the Firestorm Gym. I'm Ben.
I'm Benji.
And as usual, you might like this.
No promises.
So, here we are, episode 2.
Yeah.
Feeling good?
Feeling positive.
First episode's editing was pretty trash. I put my hand up and admit to that one. But there we go, episode 2, we're really happy. We've got a lot of feedback, we've got a couple of subscriptions.
That's some really good feedback actually.
Yeah,
we're really happy with that. Hopefully we can move on, do some more really creative things for you guys to listen in on. And again, any more feedback, please let us know, just because we want to make this as good as we can.
Because remember, it is for you guys, not us. I mean, we don't put in all the manpower for nothing. So we just wanted to pretty much have a sum up. Last episode we covered the Sun and Moon set, except for Simeon, but we might talk about that in a couple of minutes. Just keep listening. And we covered that, but we were just going to sort of do a recap on the pre-release. So I actually ran the pre-release at Firestorm in Cardiff.
I'm sure everyone will agree, ran very well.
Oh, thanks.
Even though I don't like giving this guy any bits of confidence because his head's not going to fit through the door. But yeah, really well-run event, and we had quite a lot of players as well, didn't we?
I think we ended up with 43 masters, I think it was. It was something like 8 seniors and then like 3 juniors, so they got chucked in together. But I mean, it was like over 50 people overall, so I was really nervous at first, but we got through it, it's whatever. But yeah, we were just going to cover pretty much what, people pulled. Benji will be talking about, a lot of the ideas he came up with, some of the ideas we saw there, and just how much of a fun time we had. And, while we're waiting for the cards to actually come out onto market, just still cover a bit about it. So what did you end up pulling?
Absolutely nothing. I didn't pull anything. Just as usual, I've played 3 pre-releases and not pulled a thing. But I mean, to be fair, the stock cards weren't too bad this time. I had the Crobat Butterfree, which I don't think were too bad considering some of the other.
I actually saw someone was playing and they had like this crazy good tech, which I found like really
I know what
cool.
You're going to say. Wishy-washy Crobat, right?
Dude, I thought it was like, so obviously for those of you who don't know, obviously we don't have the cards in front of us, but Crobat I'm pretty sure was 3 energy, 60 damage. If it became the active this turn, then it does 60 more, right?
Yeah, so you're doing 120, free retreat.
Exactly. So what I saw this guy doing, free retreat into a wishy-washy, pick the wishy-washy back up using the ability, and then just smash for 120, which in a pre-release
it's not bad.
Which is a lot,
pretty good.
So I was really blown away by that. The fact that someone actually came up with a decent tech.
Pre-release is there just for a bit of fun, man. I mean, you pull out GX, the chances are you're going to go, win most of your games. Exactly. So if you can do well just off the cards you get, I mean, it's quite impressive. I mean, how did you feel about some of the pulls that you've seen?
I mean, I was really surprised because we sort of talked earlier about sort of the hyper rares, and when the set first got announced, they made it seem like the hyper rares would be really rare.
And you weren't going to get one.
And I would say the majority of boxes had like 1 or 2 in them, and I was sort of shocked because I know that my younger brother pulled both Espeon and a Solgaleo hyper rare.
I mean, I've seen a couple of Linalas floating around as well.
I pulled Linala in my box, sort of thing. So
I would have liked to see some of the other cards we talked about, especially the likes of Umbreon. I didn't see I didn't see an Umbreon. Decidueye, I think there was one maybe, but one playable.
There was a few Lurantis.
Yeah, 1 or 2 Lurantis. Tauros was quite big, I think.
I know that
Jake pulled 2, right?
Yeah. Someone we know called Jake managed to pull 2 Tauros in his pre-release box and DCEs. 2 DCEs as well, I'm pretty sure it was. He was just slapping DCE down and hitting everyone. It was just nuts. So that was pretty
He did tell us that he listened to our podcast on the treadmill the day after. So
I mean, props. I mean,
it's pretty cool.
Whatever. Yeah. Local celebrities and all that. Whatever.
Absolutely.
I think I was mainly shocked. That was the thing that took me back the most that day, is sort of like the amount of hyper rares that were pulled. But then as well as that, the amount of people that didn't even want them were just selling them straight away on eBay. It was almost like they pulled it out the box, put it straight on eBay.
Yeah, I mean, I guess when you've got the pre-release, the cards aren't released, so you're going to get a lot more. So I guess if people know they're not going to want the cards in the future, then it's a good idea just to get a bit more money beforehand. But I mean, it's always nice. I always keep my pre-release cards. I pulled the Charizard in the Evolutions, and I've kept that. It's always nice to keep. But I mean, it makes sense if you're going to get rid of the cards in the future. Why not do it whilst the price is high?
I agree with everything you just said, but they made it. Pokemon made it very difficult for me to try and hold on to cards that I got because, guys, for my staff cards, I got Bruxish.
That was the one card we spoke about that was pretty jank, and you ended up getting it. So
my staff card was a Bruxish, and I almost felt as if I had been stabbed in the back by my best friend. I do all this stuff for Pokemon. I run these lovely events. I had, this was my first pre-release, and I had over 50 people, and they pay me back with a Bruxish.
I mean, I'm pretty sure you would have been happy with any of the other three.
Any. Shiinotic, playable. I would throw it in a grass deck. Oranguru is probably, I really want to run Persimmon, so Persimmon would have been, amazing. But Oranguru still would have been fine as well, but they gave me Bruxish. And I'm pretty sure it's because I remember talking to a couple of people who have been staff for a while, and they had the Parallel Cities back when Breakpoint was around, the staff cards. And since then, I think in the UK in particular, they give out the worst staff card so people can't sell it. Because I know that when I did the staff stuff for Evolutions, I got Gyarados. And again,
compared to the others,
exactly. Compared to the others, they were really cool, sort of pre-release. Even Machamp would have been awesome. Charizard,
Mewtwo,
obviously.
Charizard,
so I have a feeling they're doing it now because obviously the staff cards, the only way you can get them is by being staff and doing an event. So I just feel like
either way, it's still a cool card, man. There's not many hanging around. I know it's not the greatest Pokemon, but not everyone gets a staff card. So
yeah, I know exactly. It's not that I'm really. Gyarados is okay. It's just Bruxish. It is. It's just another one of those Pokemon. You'll by the end of this whole series, you'll all start to realise I hate a lot of Pokemon, but Bruxish is one of those standout ones.
Don't you think it looks cool though?
No,
I really do.
At all. How?
It just does. It looks like a hippie fish. Multicolours.
I'll be honest with you. I've seen a lot of hippies in my life, and it looks nothing like
it. I think it's a pretty cool hippie fish. I mean, I agree the card is absolutely terrible, but looking at it, I think it's pretty cool. I mean, when it popped up in the VGC, I was like, yes.
There are times where I really feel like I don't want to do the podcast with you, and this is one of them.
Yeah, but you also like pretty weird Pokemon.
Like what?
I know. What do you like, except for Greninja?
Nothing. Absolutely. There is no other Pokemon except Greninja. Arcanine. I love an Arcanine. Joking, guys, we do know that it is an Arcanine. We call it Arcanine, as someone at our local club calls it Arcanine. So we find it very amusing. Anyway, we've probably dwelled on the pre-release way too long. I mean, actually, I've been meaning to ask you, and you can sort of, announce your saltiness to everyone listening.
Ooh, okay.
You picked up a pre-release box for your girlfriend who couldn't actually make the event.
Yeah.
What did she get in her box?
Nothing.
Nothing.
No, she got the Oranguru pre-release card, but
that's pretty. That's all right.
Nothing.
Nothing either.
No. I mean, I do think we, with the pre-release, I'm not sure if they work it out that there's a lot less, than the average. In terms of what I've seen in the previous pre-releases with EXs and now, moving on to GX, I don't think we see the caliber of cards that we'd actually pull.
Yeah, I think it is. I think
it's very limited to what you're going to get in a pre-release box.
Not necessarily limited. I just think they make it a lot more random. Whereas, sort of in a booster box, you sort of know maybe every 2 or 3 packs you're going to get an EX. Whether it's full art, whether it's normal, but every 3 packs you're going to get a good card. Whereas in a pre-release, you could open 4 boxes and get nothing. Yeah. You could open that 5th box.
I mean, I'd probably say the majority of people didn't get a GX, So I
think the majority of people didn't. And then I did see, however, though, a whole lot of Young Goose, which I didn't say earlier. I saw loads. I saw the Hyper Rare. I saw 3 full arts. I saw at least 4 of the normal ones.
I mean, that's probably going to be the poster boy for this general.
It just
Donald
I
Trump.
don't know, especially with
with this time of Donald Trump coming around. I mean, it's quite suspicious, but it is what it is.
It's what it is.
But please let us know. You may have went to a different pre-release. Let us know what you got. Let us know what you enjoyed about it. We're always wanting to know what
as well as that, guys. Like, I mean, even if Firestorm is based in Cardiff, and we don't want to completely market it. That's not what this is for. But we're really nice guys. I would like to think anyway. So if you ever want to swing down for a pre-release where it really is just for fun, swing down. Every set that comes out, we've always got a pre-release. It's every single one, and the more people, the better.
It's always a good time.
Yeah, exactly.
Regardless of
we always have a real good laugh.
What level you're at, as long as you've got some small understanding of the game, you'll have fun.
Yeah, exactly. I just think pre-release is one of my favourite times, because it's just a laugh, isn't it?
Yeah, there's no pressure. There's no kind of
So, anyway, moving on to a card that myself, I think, is very interesting. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of talk about it at the minute. Persimmon.
Yeah.
From this set. We didn't actually cover it in the last video because we wanted to talk a bit in depth about it, because it's sort of floating in between really good and not so good. We don't really know which direction it'll go. So just to quickly go over it for you guys, if you haven't seen it by now. Persimmon is in the base set, as we just said. It's a fighting type. It's got 110 HP, 1 retreat cost, and weak to psychic. No resistance, unfortunately. And the first move is for 1 fighting, and it's fling. And this attack does 30 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Don't apply weakness or resistance. So pretty standard. We're not really looking at the card for the first move. So the second move, however, is what I find interesting, which is team play for a DCE, double colorless, 10 plus. This attack does 30 more damage for each of your benched Persimmon. So, by now a lot of people have probably, seen it, heard about it, lots of different tech. So if you run 4 Persimmon in your deck without other cards to do it, you can get them down. You can use Nest Balls now, which gets basic straight onto your bench.
You look at Bridget.
Yeah, Bridget straight away, sort of. There's lots of cards that sort of get it out really quick. Repeat Balls as well. Once you get one out, you can get the rest out. So there's a lot of interesting ones around it. But then what a lot of people have been saying to play with it is Mew. Because Mew then lets you bench all 4 of the cards, sit the Mew at the top, use its ability to then copy the move off Persimmon. So with that, you're able to get off 10, 30, 60, 90, 120, 130 damage base with 4 on a bench using Mew.
Stick a Fighting Fury belt on there, you're boosting the health to 140 and you're doing 140 damage.
So it's sort of... So pretty much what we wanted to have the discussion about, and we really want you guys to sort of get involved, get in the comments, talk to other people about it. Is this card going to be something that is played? Is it going to make the meta in this sort of transition period where we have EXs and GXs? Because myself, I've been testing it online, you've been testing it online, and we think that it's so quick. It is really quick. It does set up really quick, but I just don't feel at the minute it's doing enough damage to get over the X's. It doesn't hurt all the X's that are currently in the format.
The good thing about this, I guess, is, even if it does get taken out, you're losing a prize card compared to the EX and the GX2 prize, But, it's one of those things, again, we mentioned it with the last deck we spoke about, which was the Sharpedo Dugtrio, which we'll kind of recap on later. But, I mean, again, it's a cheap deck, for someone who's just beginning, it's a very cheap deck, these cards aren't going to cost much, so...
Oh, no, I think I picked up, I only pulled 1 in my booster box, which I was pretty angry about, because I thought being just a regular rare, I'd get a lot more of them. But I think I paid, £3 for 4 or something like that. Just not expensive at all. Because, I mean, the list that I've been looking at, you run, obviously, the 4 Persimmon, you run 3 Mew, 3 or 4 Mew, 3 though I run, and then 2 Shaman. Obviously, Shaman do cost money, but I think that the advice we always give people is as soon as you start playing, you spend your money on your
Seekers,
and you spend your money on your Shamans, and then you're
just making sure you got your slots down, your Sycamores, Ends, things that are going to fit into every other deck.
Exactly. So that's to beginners and new people who come to Firestorm, that's the advice we always give. It's sort of Verseekers, I would say, more importantly, because there are decks that don't run Shaman, but But Shaman would then be the second card.
And now is probably a great time to get him, because we've just had the Versus Battle Box, or, you know, what was it? Is it the Versus Battle Box? Is that what it's called? The
Keldeo.
So, I mean, you've got 2 in that box, so there's probably a lot more floating around now. I remember before that came out, you were paying around, I'm not sure, about £10 to £12 per VS Seeker.
Yeah.
So, you know, now that's released, they are, you know,
a lot cheaper. I'd say it's like £5 for just one Seeker, so it's not really.
I know
really
they don't look great, they don't look like a nice, shiny, you know, hyper rare or anything like that. They're very plain and boring, they're not exciting cards, but they really do help you with your deck.
Yeah.
So if you are learning the game and you want to start, you know, picking decks up, it's definitely a card you want to go for.
Yeah. Well, a little bit off topic there, but I mean, yeah, it's
VS Seeker rant, why not?
Why not? VS Seeker rant. But I just wanted to, you know, have an in-depth discussion on just, you know, will Persimmon sort of bust into the format later on. So if you just want to have a minute to yourself, sort of saying what you think, and then I'll cover what I think.
I mean, personally, I love any Pokemon that is a basic and it is quick. You know, for me, you've got no building. You don't have to build it up. You don't have to attach a load of energy. You're not taking a lot of turns. I love Pokemon that you can put on your bench or start with. You get your DCE, which, you know, usually you filter through your deck pretty quickly within the first turn or two. And it's set up and it's ready to go. And all you're doing then is, you know, like you said earlier, if you run it with Mew as well, you're getting all 4 to your bench. Which sounds, in contrast, like it's going to take a bit of time, but it doesn't.
It doesn't. I mean,
you know?
Yeah, like, before you carry on, it's sort of... I've been playtesting it a lot. Nestball is ridiculously good in this deck. It's I think it is a card that really helps. I think it's a card that makes it a lot more playable. I think if you were still left with Ultra Balls, I don't think this card would be as playable. But it's sort of like, you got the Nestball in your hand. You don't really need to think twice about, oh my god, you know, what am I going to get rid of? You know, what am I going to have to pay in order to get this out? You just throw the Nestball, bang, it's out. Repeat balls again. So you use your nest balls, you can't find those nest balls, you run the repeat balls as well, and then it's almost a guarantee that you're going to get them out. So I would say that during testing, I think it was over like 25 games I played with it online, something like that, and I marked down, and I was able to get all 4 of them onto my bench with a Mew at the top 18 times out of 25.
I mean, I guess, again, this this kind of deck is a prize race deck, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
You know, it's not about, I want to try and keep Mew, I want to try and keep Persimmon out there as long as I can. It's about doing as much damage as you can, getting the next one out, doing as much damage as you can again.
It just works like a conveyor belt, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's sort of like, it's gone, and then, but this is why Revive has sort of seen its first bit of play since, well, I've been playing, really. I haven't really seen many decks that run Revive since. So Revive pretty much gets it out of your discard, back onto your bench straight away, for those of you that don't know. So you sort of get rid of it, and then you just drop an item next turn, like, oh, it's back.
That's it. You've also got the Super Rod option as well. You know, if you've been playing, you know, you're quite a bit through the game, you've got a couple of Mews, a couple of Persimmon in your discard, get that Super Rod, and get all 3 of them back in.
Exactly. So...
it's definitely going to be interesting. I'm interested to see how it's going to be used. I just think with it right now, though, it's very... I don't know. Like, I've been, for example, online, right? I've been playing it and I'll win, and then I'll come up against something like, I don't know. Obviously, your Beetle's different because it's got the resistance as well. So, and that's just the definer of the format. So it is hard to beat anyway. But let's say I come up against, I don't know, what's another good EX right now? I can't think. Gardevoir.
Yeah, okay, like Gardevoir, for example. So it's not like, you know, it's 170 HP. It's not like that's a hard mark to hit, but then you physically can't hit it with Persimmon. You physically can't do that much damage. So it's sort of, you know, unless you ran a strong energy version, but that would slow it down, and it sort of undermines the fact that you can slap an EC on it.
It comes down to the prize, doesn't it? You know, okay, you only do 130, 140, wherever it may be. But then next turn, you're definitely going to get the knockout.
You say definitely, but obviously you play around it. Like, you see yourself taking the damage, which is what I'm trying to say. Is sort of like, I think with EXs at the minute, with it also basics that you throw down and you throw your energy on it, and more often than not, they're ready to go.
I mean, here's a question for you. You know, in now we're talking about the, you know, EXs. Have you seen a non-EX actually come along and do really, really well. Of course, I know we got a Greninja break, but other than that, have you seen a Soul Pokemon that's just come along and caused trouble for EXs? Because again, I run Raikou, which was a lot of fun, but again, it struggled too much. You know, the smaller health, the damage limitation you can take is.
I think the only one that saw a bit of play for a little while was Garchomp, but I will say Garchomp was specifically designed to take down EXs. So it's sort of like you did the 80, you did the extra 80 for the Pokemon being an EX. So that was, but again though, that still only hit like 160 with that strong energy on it. Yeah. So again, it's sort of that 170 mark that all the X's sort of like float around 170, 180. But no, you are right. I think that EXs have just been really dominating, which is why part of me is really happy that they eventually will rotate out, because I think the GX cards, and this, you know, again, is a discussion that we want people to sort of talk about. I will prefer GXs being in the game because I think it'll be a lot more skill-based in the sense of you need to manage your resources better and get things out at the right time and get things in the discard at the right time in order to build up your evolutions.
There's a lot of bulky attacks with the X's, isn't there?
Exactly.
Which you don't
require
much. Yeah, absolutely.
And it doesn't require any sort of effort. Like, for example, like your Beetle, the deck is very skill-based to pilot, but your Beetle as a card, you need 3 energy on it and hope that your opponent's got 3 as well, and it's sort of GG anyway, you know what I mean? So, and we discussed in the last episode that we thought that the average sort of amount of energy used in most decks is 3, most probably. Like 3 is probably the
attack.
You know, I think it'll be really interesting to see, because I think Persimmon will be very strong when there are a lot more evolution decks, because you are able to set up a lot quicker. You are able to start hitting that high amount of damage on turn 2 straight away, or your turn 1, then you go second, but either way. And I think when you are trying to evolve and someone just keeps hitting your Pokemon away and it's dead and you're like, oh my god, you know, I've got to promote another one now I've got to try and find another bench Pokemon.
It's not a nice feeling. You know you're behind, you know it's pretty much GG. And
exactly. So I think when all of it rotates out, I do think that it'll be really strong. But then at the same time, I also feel like when the EXs rotate out, obviously you have Garb that will hope for. I pray. I pray to every god of every religion that Garb rotates out, because I just find it really. It makes the. I think the thing I don't like about Garb is it really narrows the metagame down in the sense of you don't get to use all these like cool decks that are a bit different with the abilities. Like, for example, I really like the look of Alakazam when it first got announced. Like, I thought it'd be like a really cool deck to sort of try and work with and get the damage counts down.
Some decks just, they won't work. You know, you see Garb there and you're just like, I know there's ways around it. There's always ways around it, but it just doesn't make.
It doesn't make it fun. Like,
it doesn't. No.
So it's sort of.
It's more about, right, I have to get rid of Garb, or work around Garb, rather than I want to beat this deck. You know, you see someone pull their deck out and you think this is going to be an interesting match. What are they going to do? What am I going to do? And then it just comes down to the same thing. You know, you could play 2-3 people in a row who all throw Garb out there, and you find yourself sat there doing the same thing. You're just trying to work around Garb. So I agree with you.
Yeah, I just think it makes it a lot less fun. I think it makes it as well sort of the case where there is no room for creativity. So you know, except for maybe. You know, we've looked at Fort Wayne regionals where, you know, the Pidgeot deck sort of made a spontaneous appearance. Obviously, the Gyarados deck has made a bit of an appearance. But apart from like those two, and I know they don't even have abilities anyway, so it sort of doesn't fall under the category. But apart from those two, there has not been sort of any creativity for like the last year.
I mean, I guess that's what, you know, when Garb comes in, I play a Veltal and Garb myself, and that's where people are going to play them. You know, when you've got a deck that use no abilities, you know, you're there putting that down to stop everybody else. Exactly. But for me, there's not enough Pokemon that don't have abilities to actually.
Yeah, exactly. You know, which is what I'm trying to say. Is sort of the case where I can't wait for it to rotate out, because then Muck will step in, but then Muck's only basic, so it's sort of it can stall the game, but it doesn't necessarily stop the game.
Switch it off. Yeah,
it doesn't stop the game. So I am sort of excited to see, you know, Persimmon step up and sort of see, how that does in the new format. I am really, really excited for sort of the GXs to take in place and really become...
I mean, how long do you think it'll be before we start seeing these kind of decks creep up? Because you can always see, you can always look at a card and see whether it's going to be playable, whether it's actually going to fit into the meta game. But how long do you think it'll be before we actually start to see some decks coming through?
Right. With it, there is no real way to tell, because in the last episode, we didn't really, it was already an hour, so we didn't really go into any sort of debates and discussions. But we've been talking to one of our team members, Tim, who is a very avid player and stuff. But and we've all come to the agreement that yes, all these cards look cool. Yes, all these cards look good. But how many of them still have abilities?
Yeah.
And Garb still shuts down. And it's sort of like,
you would have
yes,
thought by
exciting
now.
time.
I mean,
yeah.
It's a new region, there's new Pokemon, new cards. They might have just done something to work around that, make it a little bit easier, make it a little bit more
why
fun.
Why didn't they put tool remover back in? Because Garb was still around when tool removal was there. Don't get me wrong, because not everything ran tool removal. But
it's an option.
There's just like they could make it an option again, because it's sort of like, oh, here guys, here's all these cool cards and all these cool new ideas that we have, but guess what? They still don't work because Garb is still so dominant and so played, and it's just sort of meh. It just again allows for no creativity, and so I know that now I want to build all these new decks. I want to try all these new decks, but I know for a fact
that's
that
the problem.
it's just not going to work.
I've done that a couple of times where I've pulled a couple of cards. I think, oh, I wonder what I can make with this, and then I'm just thinking, Garb, and it's like throwing your cards in the bin. You're kind of looking at them thinking, oh, that's a good idea. Oh, I like that. And then you think, well, Garb's there. It's not going to work.
Exactly. So
I mean, unless you've got a deck which is already doing a lot of damage and is already working nicely, and the ability is maybe just a side thing, just to help you out a little bit, it's really difficult to, go along with
I agree.
I
mean, as one last point, like, obviously we do, we haven't mentioned it, but we do realise that Garb needs to be around so Greninja doesn't dominate the format. But at the same time, I think it wouldn't necessarily, because there's a lot of new good grass decks. Like, Decidueye's good, Lurantis is good, Shiinotic's good. So it's sort of, there are a lot of things now that Greninja might struggle against, and will set up quick, because we talked about last time how quickly Lurantis can set up and how quickly, Decidueye can put the damage out with Forest of Giant Plants and stuff like that. So, I think...
Well, I mean, now you've said that about the tool remover, I mean, we're going to get a few new sets come out, over this year now, and, that might be an opportunity for them to do something that, not necessarily, we don't need Garb to rotate out as such. It may be something that is there given to us to be able to shut Garb down. It may be another Pokemon. That there's something that to stop Garb. So there's all these kind of things that might happen, which, I guess we're both hoping for.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, I mean, that's sort of covered, the main bulk of what we're going to talk about, Persimmon, Garb, and the format and stuff like that. But here is some news that I only found out yesterday, I think it is. I don't know if you've seen it. But the second set has already been leaked.
Yeah, is it Pokemon Guardians
Rising is what I believe. And I've sort of looked into it. I've looked into sources. I've had a cheeky look on Poke Beach, stuff like that. Tapu Koko is the pack art so far released.
I love the Tapus. I love the idea of the Tapus. I mean, if there's anything I could take away from Sun and Moon, it's the Tapus.
I love them as well. Like Koko especially. No, I really like Bulu, man.
Bulu, yeah.
I love
Bulu for me,
Bulu,
definitely.
Awesome.
Bulu is awesome.
But as well as that, so Koko is on there. So what I wanted to quickly discuss with you is Tapu GXs.
Is that being released? Are they going to be
not necessarily, but it's what I'm assuming. Do you think so? Or?
Yeah, I mean, it may be a case of they'll have a non-GX version as well. They do tend to do that now and again. But yeah, I agree. I think we'll see some strong cards. They kind of have to be, really. They will. Sun and Moon was all about getting 4 separate islands. It's a new thing. It's a new craze. People are going to get into, a new way of playing the game, a new way of looking at, the anime and what have you. So, the Guardians were there to kind of protect the islands. So for me, I definitely think that they need to make these cards strong, to actually show off what they've done.
Sort of thinking the same thing in the sense of X and Y. Yveltal was obviously really good. Xerneas was, it wasn't as good as Yveltal, but it's good. But then you think back to Zekrom and Reshiram, which were garbage.
Well, yeah, they do nothing.
Which were terrible. So, obviously, we're talking about the EX versions now. I know there are versions of Reshiram that are quite good and stuff like that, but I don't think Zekrom had any playable cards, to be honest with you. But
I guess it's Dragon, though. Sometimes I kind of think does Dragon work as well as the other cards, but...
Yeah. But, so, I'm hoping, I really am, because you can sort of have 4 Tapu GXs, right, that all do similar things, but sort of might all have the same GX move.
Yeah.
But then do different, different things. So, in the game, if any of you have played the game, they turn into that massive Guardian thing and they just, crush you, in their hand or whatever. It'd be
the
cool.
other good thing is, it's about the terrain, how you get the grassy terrain, the misty terrain, all those kind of things. Are we going to see some sort of ability or something that's going to...
That's what I was going to go into next. That's what I was going to say. I was going to say sort of, do you think it'll sort of be really strong? Because obviously the abilities in the game are really strong. Yeah. They are strong abilities. So I was just going to ask pretty much and talk about, will they have strong abilities really similar to the game, do you think?
I think they need to be. It was such a substantial kind of ability in the game. I think they need to relate to it in the TCG.
Because I'm thinking, right, electric terrain, hear me out, this would be really good, and maybe make electric a bit more playable. You can attach multiple amounts of electric energy, because think how many electric cards, Magnezone, we talked about, Vikavolt. Think about how many cards that are electric types that sort of go off that, sort of pretending it is electricity, being able to power things up
or even
quicker.
A boost, you put that down, as long as this Pokemon's in play, this now does X amount more damage.
Yeah, that's
all electric Pokemon. You can get these sort of things, but I would be very disappointed if they're not strong cards.
I would be as well. But then, as well, which is interesting, which I was going to tell you, because we both discussed that we prefer... you prefer the Midnight form of Lycanroc, but... So we've already talked about Lycanroc GX, but the other pack art that has been released is, in fact, the Midnight form. On the front of the pack, which I was quite shocked about because it's actually on the pack, which means it'll probably have a pretty major part to do with the set.
What did we see here? We had Solgaleo, Lunala,
and then the 3 starters.
Yeah, so that's pretty basic. You got your 2 cover arts and you got your basics. So anything they do second is usually the cool. You'll have the Zoroark and things like that. Yeah. So. Was there any others?
They're the only 2 released right now, but what I wanted to sort of touch on is, obviously, there's 5 Pokemon on the front of the other pack, right? So, essentially, what we could either be looking at is all 4 of the Tapus and Lycanroc, which to me wouldn't really make sense to just have a random Lycanroc on the front. Or are we going to be looking at sort of Guardians Rising shows the release of Coco, and then sort of the next set will show the release of Tapu Fini, for example. Are they going to bring them out slowly? They're going to filter them out slowly? They're all going to be in one set? Because I have a feeling they are going to be strong cards, and I think it would be cool.
To do them all at one time.
Yeah, to do them all it might be a bit overwhelming. So, I don't know. And as well as that, they could even make them all fairy type as well. Yeah. You know what I mean? It could go a lot of different ways.
This generation for me has got a lot of opportunity to do some really good things with the TCG. We obviously just touched on the Guardians, but then you've got the Ultra Beasts as well. So there's going to be a lot of really, really cool things. So I'm really hoping they start to do some really nice things with the cards, because there's a lot of Pokemon I like that's been in the past generations. There's a lot of cool ideas. There's legendaries, and they're just not playable.
Yeah,
I agree. Disappointing.
Yeah, so I'm sort of, the thing I'm looking forward to most is Alolan Raichu GX, if they make one. Obviously, if they make one, I don't know if there will be one, but I really like Alolan Raichu. I think it was such a cool Pokemon.
It'd be nice to see, the other Alola, your Sandslash and Ninetales.
Yeah,
as well.
obviously, I don't have any doubt in my mind that they'll make them all a GX. I bet even though Muck has already got a card or it's sort of playable now, I think they'll still do a GX, because it is sort of their the USP. It is their selling point for this region, isn't it? So, like everything else we've said, we really want to be interactive with you guys. So, let us know what you'd like to see.
Yeah, what do you think? What do you want to see?
Do you think the taboos will be playable? Do you think they'll make them just as cards that are pretty and they're cool? Oh my god, I just thought about how nice the full arts will look.
Pre-release, come on.
So, yeah, let us know, talk about it. Guardians Rising has been announced. You can find the information. I saw it on Poker Beach, but I mean, if you've got other sources,
and I guess now it's been released, over the next couple of weeks, months, or whatever, there's going to be a little bit more coming up. So
exactly.
We'll be able to keep you up to date on what's going on with that as well.
To come to the last couple of little bits about this podcast, we wanted to touch back first on the deck idea we came up with last time, the little fun, little jokey deck. Guys, I'm just going to tell you now, don't waste your time, right?
But this is what it's about, though, right? This is what it's about. It's about creating things. If things go wrong, it doesn't matter. It's all about having fun, trying to make things happen.
So pretty much what I did was I opened my booster box. I got pretty much the majority of the cards I needed. And I built it, and I've been coming for the last 2 weeks now to Firestorm and playing it. And I haven't won a single game, not one. And not even the sense I almost had that one. I've just been absolutely destroyed.
Other than the losing part, was it fun?
Yeah, man. I think it's the funniest part about it. I think was sort of the frustration behind having.
The thing is, I played against you, and what I liked was the bursting balloon and the ability of 30 damage.
90 damage.
Nice. 90 damage just for hitting the Pokemon. And when you look at something like a Veltal, if you're going to use Y Cyclone, you're doing 90 damage, you're doing your own damage back to you. And for me, that was fun, but yeah,
it's sort of. So while I was playing it, obviously that was fun. As I said, it was really fun. I was laughing every time I play it. Mainly because though, right, I get out the Doug Trios, okay? So I remember I played it was Nathan, I'm pretty sure. And for obviously any listeners who don't know Nathan is a favourite of mine and Benji's for just being an absolute just a mess.
Yeah.
He's just
10-pack
mess.
Nathan. He comes in, buys 10 packs every time, pulls nothing, and
does it again next week.
Yeah,
right? So pretty much Nathan plays Volcanion at the minute, right? So which has already got 3 retreat cost. And I had a really good setup, the first game I played him. And I got out 3 Doug Trio turn 2. So I added 3 more. So he had 6 retreat cost. And then I played the Aqua's Base 7. And I was just GG. And he was like, what do you mean? I was like, bro, you got 7 retreat cost. What are you even going to do? And I was hitting him for something 180 damage.
Sounds like fun.
And so that's what I mean. So it was fun, but it's just not good.
I mean, that's what we come up with these ideas just for a bit of fun, and as long as you have fun, that's all that matters at the end of the day, right?
It is definitely
we never said
never
said it was a meta deck. We never said it was going to win you competitions, but it's give it a try.
Yeah. So this week though, for the last little bit of the podcast, that we are very, very, very excited to announce, because we think it'll just be a cool touch that a lot of podcasts don't have. If anything, they have the complete opposite of what we're about to announce. So instead of coming up with
do something really cool and be great at something, we're going to give you the opportunity to win yourself some prizes.
Every episode as well. Every episode there will be an opportunity to win prizes, and it's as simple as leaving a comment and subscribing. So pretty much me and Benji want to announce officially the biggest scrub. Okay?
The biggest scrub challenge is something we've come up with because it's fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. Again, you don't need to do anything. Everyone's had a scrub moment. If you don't know what a scrub moment is, let's explain it to you.
Okay, so pretty much what we've come up as the definition of a scrub moment is a play that you have done that makes you then want to pick up all your cards and leave the table.
Yeah.
So
give me an example of something you've done, and then I'll give you my also famous Ninja Boy example.
Okay, right. So, for example, the other week at an LC, I really greedily evolved my Froakie into a Frogadier without setting up on the bench. And left it active, forgetting that the person across the field from me was playing Zygarde with strong energy. And so I evolved straight away. I was really greedy. I evolved, didn't dupes because I wanted to drop the Greninja straight away next turn. Because I was like, I can get a knockout next turn if I just go for it. And he just attached his strong energy and held out his hand and shook my hand. And I was like...
That's an example of a scrub moment, right? Right, I mean, I think mine tops this. And I guess this is what we're going to kind of relate to. That the person who subscribes and gives us the best scrub moment is going to win the prize. And we'll just put out there that because it's the beginning of this scrub competition kind of thing, we're going to give away 2 EXs and a pack of your choice.
Yeah. So,
whether you're at Cardiff, Newport, whatever you are, we'll find you and we'll make sure you get those prizes. But this is my scrub moment. I'm so famous for it. Every time I play, every time I turn up, I get the Ninja Boy move, Ninja Boy KO, Ninja Boy KO. So let me explain to you what happens. So I'm running a Veltal Mew. A Veltal's got 130 damage. 130 health, and it's got 90 damage counters on it. So I have a Veltal EX on my deck, on my bench, and I'm thinking, I've got an idea. I've got 3 energy cards. I can use Yveltal's Evil Ball. I'm going to get Mew out with Ninja Boy, and I'm going to obliterate my opponent. However, that's not what happened, was it? What happened was I Ninja Boy'd, got out my Mew thinking I was really smart, chucked my Yveltal Fright Knight back in my deck, chucked my Mew down, I went, Evil Ball! But Mew has 50 HP. And the Yveltal already had 90 damage, so GG, get good soon, scrub. My opponent took the prize and I lost out. Lost all the energy, lost the Mew. So yeah, that's a pretty
what
big
did you do
scrub.
afterwards?
What did I do afterwards?
Picked up your cards and walked away.
Yeah. Went home, cried myself to sleep. So pretty much their scrub moments. We want to know what you've done.
Just as an added point, can I just say, if you couldn't tell by the amusement in my voice, I saw this live, like I literally watched this happen, but the best part is I saw the 90 damage and I knew exactly what he was doing, and he put the Mew down.
But I think I was playing Tim at the time, and he was thinking, what's he going to do? I mean, he's thinking to himself, what's he going to do? Surely he's not that stupid. Yeah, he's that stupid. Yeah, there goes the Mew, knockout, prize card, bin, bye. So yeah, that's my scrub moment. But again, it's very simple. All you've got to do is go to our YouTube page, subscribe to us.
The YouTube page is obviously
it's set up, ready to go.
It is just Firestorm Gym, guys. So type it in, give us a subscription. We'd really love the help. Obviously, as we keep saying, this is for you. You know, we don't just do this for ourselves. So, but as Benji said, subscribe, leave a comment. And, you know, this competition is genuine. Every episode, then, we'll announce the winner right at the start of the episode. And, you know, we'll let you know in the meantime.
We're hoping to give away the prize cards on, you know, the next podcast that we do.
Exactly.
We're going to announce the winner. So, please, guys, you know, make it fun. Tag your friends. Tag, you know, anyone that you know have maybe played a scrub play. Say, oh, look, remember you did this? You got a chance of winning a pack of cards and a couple of EXs. Exactly. Why not?
The prizes will change, obviously, every week as well, so they'll be a bit different every time as well. So, you know, this is something we're really looking forward to, because hopefully this is going to be something a little different that everyone can engage on, rather than sort of being, this is how awesome I was this week.
It's something to learn about, you know. I'll never Ninja Boy KO a Mew ever again in my life. So, you'll learn from these things. I shouldn't have done it in the first place. But I guarantee you now, after people listening to this, they're not going to go and Ninja Boy into something that's already got damage on. So, you are
right, yeah. Learn from your mistakes.
Technically, I'm a genius teacher, but
not technically at all. Technically, you are anything but a genius.
I'm leaning more towards the scrub side, but I can say that for both of us.
But you know, again, been an absolute pleasure, guys. Yeah. Obviously, we love doing this. It's a good laugh. We're good friends. So anytime we get to sort of sit down together and have a bit of a joke about all this is great. We hope, you know, you are enjoying our content. We hope that you keep listening. We are really trying hard to get it onto the podcast app. Yeah. We had a bit of trouble with the last episode due to the fact it was done on a different format. So again, we'll keep trying to broaden our our reach as much as we can. But for now, it will just be on YouTube. And we'll let everyone know as soon as possible when it's on things like SoundCloud, stuff like that, once we sort it out. on top of that, I think the last pointer would be we are going to go more public with the podcast.
Yep.
Maybe posting it places like Verbank, stuff like that. So it would be great if you guys could maybe share our videos, tag your friends, as Benji just said, give it a couple more likes, sort of spread it around, because we hope to offer something a bit different, maybe not always competitive talk, some jokes and stuff like that.
I mean, again, we can be scrubs sometimes, and it's just about having fun, listening in, having a bit of fun. If you learn something, great. If you don't, okay, that's okay
and
too.
As we always say, our slogan, you might like this, you might not. There's no promises.
Yeah. We have got one other thing, very quickly, just to talk about is the Firestorm Games League Challenge.
Oh yeah, true.
So we've got the 4th of February, which is the Cardiff store, and the 18th of February. Then we're heading to Newport to do the Newport League Challenge
as well. So obviously, as we said, we'll
both be there as well. So if you've never been before, you're listening, and you may be thinking of just come along. We'll both be there. Come along.
You recognise us both. I'm like the dashing, handsome one. Benji's the ugly one.
Well, he's more of the Team Skull, little weird brother kind of look-alike, to be honest. But
as we said, though, that is an offer to anyone all over the UK, America. I mean, if you want to travel that far, wherever you want to come from, Asia, we'll always announce when we're sort of doing stuff at Firestorm. We love to make our community bigger. We love new people coming in and sort of having a good time, because I think we've built a really nice community over here. So props to Ian Jones when you listen in for sort of for sort of starting it all there. But, always welcome to come along, guys. So it was February the 4th, February the 18th in Cardiff and Newport, guys. And on that note, I think that's the end of the podcast. Yeah. So thanks for listening. We said it at the same time. Perfect. Jinx. Thanks for listening, and tune in next time.
Goodbye, guys.
See you later.